Welcome back, Knuckleheads. I'm Lupine Fiasco, this is Daily FaB Gameplay, and today we are playing Kayo into Katsu. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. What we do here is review replays of games that I played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I'll talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the line I would take now, and compare that to the line I took then at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events like the upcoming Calling Los Angeles and, most importantly, walk away with that shiny, shiny cardboard. If you would like to check out the list I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link in the video description below. While you're down there, if you have not already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. A YouTube subscription is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. If you have a few extra bucks to kick around, the best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you DFG Discord access. At higher tiers, your name will be featured in every DFG video. You'll get bonus DFG content every week, and there are even more benefits to come. Daily FaB gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so for those who can afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. Let's talk about our sideboard plan and the Katsu matchup. Katsu remains my white whale. I understand that this is a difficult matchup for Kayo generally, but other Kayo players have a lot more success against Katsu than I do, and it's starting to affect me mentally. I think the issue is that my deck is built more for aggro than for mid-range, and I think if we want to beat Katsu, we do need to go on a mid-range plan rather than an aggro one, but my deck as it is presented here does have 12 non-blocks in it, between Bare Fangs, 6 copies of Pulping, and Wild Ride, which can lead to some very awkward situations where I want to block and can't. Ultimately, Katsu remains the king of the aggro mirror, as he is very challenging for decks that either don't want to or can't block, and at their core, no aggro deck wants to block. Katsu can pop off with double or triple bonds turns between his tutor effect and Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, and all he needs to do to get started is get a single copy of Bonds of Ancestry into discard. It's very challenging to play against. I am still trying to figure it out myself. You can treat this game as more of a cautionary tale and instructions on what not to do than what you should do in the Katsu matchup. That said, I do think there are some great things to talk about here, the first being Humble. Not everyone is on Humble Tech. I think it's a great card. It has the ability to shut down Katsu's tutor effect. So in case he does have his combo naturally, Humble does absolutely nothing. But if Katsu does not have the combo and was relying on the ability to tutor, you may be able to get some blocks out of him or interrupt his turn. But outside of that, my plan going into this game is to out-aggro Katsu. I think it's possible. It's also the only option available to us, as boarding in more cards with block value reduces our overall damage output. Red Assault and Battery could come in over Wild Ride or Bare Fangs, but is ultimately more expensive for less damage. Savage Beatdown could come in for its block value, but it is even harder to play than Assault and Battery, and it's even less rewarding. So we really are just going with what we have available, and we're going to try to make it work. So we can jump into the game and see how maybe that could have come together better for us in the future. We lose the die roll. We are going first. That certainly doesn't help. At least we draw into a windup, which we are going to discard to create a might and an agility. I'm not looking at sending any damage here. I would like to keep this Wild Ride in arsenal, and I would like to keep blue 3 blocks to both pay for my next turn and potentially block if I need to. The hand we draw into is solid. I'm not looking at blocking the spinning wheel kick here. I don't have a ton of experience playing as Katsu. That's probably why it's so difficult for me to play against Katsu. But I do know that the spinning wheel kick opener is a sign of one of two things. Either Katsu doesn't have any piece of his combo and is just sending raw damage, or Katsu has a surging strike follow-up to the spinning wheel kick, where if we block this, then we would need to block the surging strike in order to prevent a tutor effect. I'm not interested in getting baited. I am willing to take this 4 points of damage. We can think about blocking the surging strike if that is the follow-up. If the follow-up is just raw damage, maybe another spinning wheel kick or Kadachi, Fluster Fist, we could think about blocking further down the line. All of this is to say, I agree with not blocking here. I'm going to let Katsu do all of his nonsense. Considering that it is turn 1, it's unsurprising that he is not breaking any of his equipment. He is doing his tutor to find a second copy of spinning wheel kick. So very simple follow-up for Katsu here. I believe we should block this, and you're going to see me not block it. I think this is a mistake because we have Savage Feast. It's very tempting to keep this entire hand. The reason I don't like this is the line here is play Savage Feast, pitch a blue, discard a blue, draw another blue, so that we can follow up with Claw Send Packing. It is so unlikely that that happens, right? One, we need to win a 50% chance to keep this Send Packing. Two, the card we need to draw off the top of our deck is blue, and it is statistically unlikely that we see a blue instead of a red or a yellow. We still have our Heart and Cross trap, so even if we did draw a red, we could play this Send Packing after we claw. The problem is we can just block. We can just get value from our armor and the block value on our cards. What I would like to do here is block this spinning wheel kick with Send Packing and Apex Bonebreaker. We make another might, we attack with our Savage Feast, we'll have 2 floating resources for Claw, we draw a card, we still have a Wild Ride in Arsenal. Our lines just really are fine. If we keep this entire hand, we are committing ourselves to one line of play that we need to get very lucky to pull off. If we block, we prevent 5 incoming damage, we make a might, and we still have a really solid turn with Savage Feast and Agility. So I really disagree with this damage here. I don't think we needed to take this, and I think it was wrong to do so. We have such a great 3-card hand that giving up Send Packing here for defense is fine. Taking the Kadachi I do agree with. 1 point of damage is whatever. If we didn't block 5, we're not going to block 1. Here we are going to lead off with our Savage Feast. We're going to roll the dice on this 50% coin flip. Get our Kayo trigger, draw our card, and we do luck into the blue. So our very risky gambit worked. That said, I still think it was wrong. Even in hindsight, this was a real high roll, and I think it would have been better for us to play the consistent line where we block and we get our might value, and we still have a solid follow-up. Now, if we didn't have the Send Packing in hand because we had blocked with it, we could still Wild Ride from Arsenal and pitch our Assault and Battery to play it. If we had drawn a red, we could break our Cross Trap to play it. If we drew a yellow, we could pitch that for Wild Ride. We still had a high damage line without the Send Packing. Now, this hand is much better with Send Packing, but we took a real chance to pull this off. We see that Katsu had the tenacity, perhaps counting on us blocking the spinning wheel kick. But even then, Tenacity is only 4 points of damage. We still come out ahead. Here, Be Like Water could warrant a block. We can think about what Katsu could have in his hand as a follow-up to the Be Like Water. Katsu has no floating resources, so he will need to pitch a card to rename Be Like Water into something like Surging Strike. That puts him on 2 cards. He could discard 1 to find a Whelming Gust Wave, which would leave him with 1 card in hand. Now that card could be Bonds, but even if it is Bonds, Katsu doesn't have an incredible follow-up to the Bonds. It would just be Spinning Wheel Kick. So we could still be looking at a pretty sizable turn from Katsu. Be Like Water into Whelming, into Bonds, into Spinning Wheel Kick. But our hand is not great, honestly. I would like to play this Pulping, pitch my Beast Within to do so, or pitch Command and Conquer Bearfangs and hope to discard the Beast Within. We still have a Wild Ride in Arsenal as a follow-up. So I actually think that not blocking the Be Like Water may be correct. Now, it's totally defensible to do so. If one of these non-blocks was a blue, I would absolutely be okay with this line. We see that Katsu does have the Surging Strike follow-up. He would have had the blue for Be Like Water. I'm fine not blocking here. We are going to save cards to block whatever the follow-up is, be it Whelming or Descendant. But we can see Katsu would have had the blue to pay for Surging Be Like Water. Katsu also had the Whelming Bonds follow-up, but I just feel like we could have dealt with this. For the armor block here, I don't like it. I would like to have blocked that with Beast Within and Apex Bonebreaker. We make a Might, and on our turn, we break Cross Strap to attack with Pulping. And what we're really hoping to do is draw into a yellow or a blue and discard our Bearfangs. I just don't like losing the value on our armor block, and I don't like taking a bunch of damage from Katsu. We are going to break Cross Trap here. We are going to play Pulping. We are going to try to get the discard on Beast Within. We fail. We can still follow the Pulping up with a Bearfangs. Unfortunately, we discard Cast Bones off the top of the deck. Losing Cast Bones, to me, is not a huge problem. It's more the loss of 2 points of damage. Cast Bones, certainly a good card worth having, but we are under attack now. I don't know that we would have had an opportunity to play it. Surging Strike with Heartened Cross Trap tells me that Katsu does have a follow-up to Surging Strike. He doesn't need this to hit in order to keep his turn going. So what we could think about doing is blocking with Flesh Bag in order to try and snipe the natural follow-up from Katsu's hand. My only concern there is Katsu does have additional cards in hand, so if he has the Gust Wave follow-up, then we would need to block that too. That said, I think it's fine. I don't mind giving one of our blues, Bonebreaker, and Scabskins to block this Surging Strike, then think about using our Flesh Bag on the next attack, on whatever the follow-up is, potentially with our Assault and Battery to cover 5 on Descendant or on Whelming. Checking Katsu's discard here, seeing that he does have everything he needs. We are going to cover up the Surging Strike in its entirety with the Flesh Bag, hoping to snipe Katsu's follow-up. We see that he does have the Whelming. We're going to need to block this for 5 as well. Katsu throws the Dishonor. We can guess that what he had was a Bonds, but considering that he had a Dishonor, It could really be anything, as Katsu would have discarded Dishonor to find Bonds, to then Bonds out a Dishonor. Our turn here, I believe, is incorrect. We should have played the Wild Ride, pitching the Pulping, and hope to draw into a blue for a Claw follow-up. The image not found here is Blue Wreck-A-Romp. Either we draw a blue and we can Claw, or we keep a Bear Fangs for the arsenal. This, I think, is suboptimal play. We should have gotten this Wild Ride out of our arsenal and just tried to push a little more damage. Blood Rush Bellow here, just a little too late. Katsu with the 100 Winds follow-up is something we can block, but we can't block Katsu's entire turn. Notably, this 100 Winds could have gotten buffed by Breaking Scales if Katsu really did just need to find the follow-up to Gust Wave or to Surging Strike. Katsu having the Bonds follow-up naturally is terrible for us. He finds red, Whelming Gust Wave. We are not going to be able to block that. So at this point, we're just kind of hoping that we don't die. It seems incredibly unlikely, as Katsu can just throw his entire deck at us at this point, having now tutored Gust Wave and found Bonds, which will find Dishonor to kill us. We do not have any block value left, so we are just going to be dead. We'll just take everything here. We can live through the Dishonor if we put our 2 block in front of it. Of course, the Dishonor would get buffed up to 5 by Breaking Scales, put us to 2, and then we are dead to Kadachi. But we are just going to pack it in. You can see that we threaten 20 points of value per turn compared to Katsu's 15, and we still lost very badly. Certainly some variance on our part. We didn't see our Blood Rush soon enough. Our Bear Fangs discarded a Cast Bones. If the Bear Fangs had hit a 6 and put another 2 points of damage on Katsu, then our Wild Ride Claw line does now present lethal. So things could have broken a bit better for us maybe, but I also think that we drew really well. The Send Packing turn actually coming together was really good for us. Our Flesh Bag did quite a bit of work for disrupting Katsu's original Dishonor turn. But I think some poor blocking on our part early set us up for failure. I think that we could have afforded to be a little more defensive over the course of this game. We could have trusted our deck a little more to discard some reds and draw some blues. But overall, this is a really tough matchup, and I am still learning how to navigate it. So definitely use this as a cautionary tale more than as an example of what to do to win. We did a lot of damage. We took a lot of damage. The Katsu matchup is very hard. I would not hesitate to say that this is our hardest matchup as Kayo. It is very unfavored. It can be very difficult to block out everything you need to block out. The good news for us is that Katsu gets beaten up by Guardian, and that Guardian is much more popular and much better represented in the meta right now. So it could just be that you don't see any Katsus and you don't need to worry about this. That's how I got through all of my RTM season. I hope you learned something from this game. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, be sure to assault and batter that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. Again, if you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It's free, it helps me out, but no matter what you do, catch me tomorrow for more daily FaB gameplay. And until then, take care.